Hello. I want to talk about feelings for a few minutes here. So come, let's hang out and dig into this topic, this super important topic on the journey to heal. And let's dissect a few things to hopefully give you a little bit more clarity around how to process and work with feelings. I really hate the phrase manage your feelings because I think it's just a way of encouraging more suppression of feelings. Like, go ahead and manage it, right? At least that's how I've come to interpret it. Anger management sounds like, I don't know, so corporate, right? When really feelings are such a normal part of the human experience and something that is not normalized at all. At least previously, I think we are seeing more normalization of feelings with conscious parenting and connected parenting and rewriting this story that many of us were fed as a child, that your feelings are inconvenient, your feelings are annoying, your feelings make me uncomfortable, and your feelings need to be put away. That's at least the message that I received as a child in the late 70s, early 80s, all through the 90s. And I have a great family. I have great parents, and they were simply regurgitating the message that they received from their World War II greatest generation parents, that uncomfortable sensations, uncomfortable feelings, and the behaviors associated with them don't have a place here in a nice civilized family and in a nice civilized society. And there's just so much consequence to this, isn't there? Autoimmune disease, as one, for example, for long-term suppression of expression of feelings and long-term dysregulation of a nervous system. And that became the expression that my body had after suppressing for so many years. And I went through a phase of not feeling, not crying at all, being really numb and dissociated through much of my late teens and early 20s, just not being able to handle having feelings, because when they came up, I felt like I had failed, or I was doing something wrong, or I was abnormal, or I was too sensitive. And here's the tricky part. Learning to suppress the bad feelings caused me to be in a place where I could not feel good feelings. And there's so much truth to this. All through my 20s, when I really actually couldn't cry unless there was some sort of explosive incident or had drank a bunch of alcohol, right? And then all of that suppressed shit would come up in crazy town ways, right? Screaming fights with my boyfriend, or hysterical nervous breakdown type crying where I couldn't stop and nothing I was saying made sense. Just a few, for examples of what happened in my 20s when I was just actively trying to repress and manage my emotions. I'm in a very different place here now at 45, and that comes with the work I've done and the tools that I use and have been trained in and now teach. So let's break down a few things, okay? We hear this phrase, you've got to feel it to heal it, all the time in the healing world. And I believe that's true. We can't suppress our feelings. We do need to allow that energy and motion, that emotion, to come up, to flow, and to move. I think the part where a lot of us get really confused, or at least the part where a lot of parents got really confused, is that there's the feeling and the part associated with that feeling. Let's call it MAD, right? Angry child. Child is feeling anger. So then child hits and displays a behavior connected to the anger that's not acceptable, right? We can't hit other humans for no reason. Let's first tease apart, for children and for adults, there's the feeling, and then there's often the behavior associated with the feeling that is destructive or unacceptable. And we lump those together a lot, and we tell kids or each other in this society, put all that shit away. There is no room for anger. And what we really mean is there is no room for violence. There is no room for hurting each other. And that is true, right? So how do we allow the anger to be there without allowing the spraying? In our family, we call this spraying. My husband and I started this a long time ago, really teasing apart the idea that, okay, one person in the partnership is feeling bad, is feeling grief, is feeling frustration, is feeling irritability, right? All these normal human things we feel, and that belongs to the person who's feeling it. It is not okay to then spray the behaviors associated with that feeling on the other person, right? I'm going to punish you because I feel bad. That's when we need to really tease the behavior and the feeling apart. Or I'm going to punish myself because I feel bad. Some of us don't punish another. We're not hitting or spraying on another. We turn that energy inward and punish ourselves for feeling. Binge eating, alcohol overuse, any ways that we can abuse ourselves, withholding food, over exercising, shaming and blaming, right? Self or other. That's the kind of spraying, for lack of a better word, that can happen when we don't understand how to move the energy of the emotion in a healthy and productive and normal and human way. So that's what we're up to here. We're all reparenting and learning how to feel what we're feeling without hurting ourselves or somebody else. And this is what I'm trying to teach my children too. So it's perfect timing to be learning that over and over and over again for me. So a couple of tips for you. Be a yes to the feeling coming up. Right? Stop suppressing and allow the energy, the wave of emotion, the ocean of emotion, like a big ocean wave coming, allow it to come. So many of us are afraid that it's going to be so bad. It's going to be so big. I remember saying to my therapist in my 20s when I told her I haven't really cried for like 5 years or however long it had been. And she was like, okay, we need to work on getting you to cry. And I said, really though, I feel like if I did start crying at this point, I would kill someone. I remember saying that to her. I would get a bat and I would destroy my environment. I would kill someone. That's how big it felt inside of me. All of that welled up, blocked emotion. And of course, that's not the truth, but that was the fear at that point because I'd suppressed for so long that it had gotten so big inside of me. So there was a lot to discharge. There was a lot of energy I'd held in to move, but you can be a yes to feeling and allow it to come little by little. It's like a soda bottle that's built up in pressure and you don't want to pull the whole top off because you're going to get a big explosion. So, right? Little by little, let's release that pressure without spraying, without making a huge sticky mess. So it is possible to let it come in waves, to process it in small bites. Now, there's all sorts of uncomfortable sensations that come with feeling, right? It's not just the crying, it's the lump in the throat, it's the puffy eyes, it's the ugly face, as a for example, when it comes to grief and that kind of ugly cry that we make fun of or talk about, right? These sensations, you can get used to them. You can learn to work with them. You can welcome them. Oh, hello, lump in the throat. I know you. I felt you a whole lot in elementary school and middle school. I remember clenching my teeth and swallowing you down so I wouldn't cry at school and I wouldn't hear that same message from my peers as I was hearing at home, which was, God, you're really sensitive, right? There's too much emotion for you. Allow the sensations to come up and observe them with curiosity. Observe them with non-judgment. Wow, my hands are actually getting numb and tingly as I breathe with this crying episode. Ooh, I'm feeling some shaking in my body. There's movement behind emotion. Nobody cries and grieves totally still, right? Nobody rages and is angry totally still. These emotions have energy and movement behind them, right? There's a reason that my kids want to punch and slap each other when they've triggered each other. There's velocity here. There's energy to move. So be curious about those sensations and learn to channel them more productively. My 7-year-old knows how to walk over to the couch or walk over into his bedroom and punch the crap out of the couch or his bed. And he is never told that he cannot punch a pillow or scream into a pillow or kick his arms and legs on his bed so hard that he can move that energy out. That's a healthy way of moving anger energy, especially for a little kid, and it works great for him. Be aware of the thoughts that are happening when you're feeling. There's a big difference between crying, feel it to heal it crying, where people say to me, oh yeah, I'm feeling it to heal it, right? I'm crying every freaking day. And I ask, what are the beliefs and the thoughts that are running through your head when you're crying? And it's like, this is effed up. I'm a failure. I shouldn't be crying. This person is to blame. I'm to blame. I hate my life, right? I'm never going to get better. This is all too much, right? Yeah, that would keep me crying every day too, if those were the thoughts associated with the feeling. You can cultivate better feeling thoughts. You can change that neurology. You can change what you're thinking when you're feeling by practicing thinking different things when you're feeling. I got you. You are safe. Let it all out. This feels so big in your throat. I see you, right? You are safe to cry. I'm here for you. Go ahead. You're safe to let it all out. That's a whole different set of thoughts than the ones I previously explained. Do you see and feel the difference? You are not healing anything when you are thinking, I'm never going to heal, while you're crying and then saying, well, I cried it out. Why aren't I healing, right? It's not just about feeling it. It's about how you are orienting and showing up with the many parts of yourself, especially that younger part, while you are feeling it. Pay attention to what's happening in your body and your breath when you are triggered. maybe before the cry, before the anger, when you would normally suppress it. I know that when my husband and I are having like a financial conversation, I've started to notice that my shoulders round forward and my stomach, I curl around my stomach. I have like a C curve in my spine. I'm demonstrating it right now, and I lose my words. I'm swallowing a lot. Even just talking about it is bringing me into the state and putting my body into the state. I don't really know what to say. Like he'll ask me a money question, like, can we do this with this account? Let's have a money meeting, he calls it. And I just start shutting down. My eyes get really wide like this, right? So this is all me having a triggered reaction to money, have a conditioned response. My breath gets shallow and I stop breathing so vigorously. There's a whole series of things happening with my body and my breath. My thoughts start thinking things like, I can't do this. I'm too overwhelmed. I'm never gonna be in an abundant place. Play with shifting the body and the breath. So I'll sit up a little bit and I'll put my shoulders back. I'll take a deep breath around this financial conversation. I'll put my chin up a little bit. Maybe I'll put my hand on my heart, and suddenly thoughts are flowing a little easier. I could probably connect and open up my Wells Fargo account and check my account balance a little bit more easily from this place. So just be aware that your body, your thoughts, your breath are all giving you cues as to what's happening, and are also an anchor, help you to shift those in order to shift your state, in order to come to a better feeling state. Practice shifting into that new state. Practice leaving behind the grief once you've alchemized it, once you've processed it, once you've seen it, once you've acknowledged it, once you've soothed it, right? Don't suppress it to get to a better feeling place. Let it come up, part one. Feel it, acknowledge it. And part two is shift out of it. So many of us are actually stuck in these uncomfortable feelings and telling ourselves, I'm healing, when actually they're just in this very stuck cycle of grief, and they can't experience abundance or joy or bliss or presence or confidence or competence because their neurology is so wired around, this is how I feel all the time, and the healing journey is so heavy and miserable. And look, it's hard to heal, and the whole point of this is so we can get to some better feeling states. So shift your body, shift your breath, move that energy, and cultivate the better feeling state. Cultivate presence by practicing presence. People say, I just want to be happy, and they do nothing to practice happiness. They're waiting for life to give them happiness on a platter. Why isn't happiness happening to me? That's up to you to create. You have to choose it. This is why there's mantras, and this is why there's all this self-help and interest in growth and spirituality, because we have so much freaking power. We really do. So practice those better feeling states. Maybe don't aim for happy and blissful and joyful if you're over at misery and depression right now, right? Just come to acceptance and acknowledgement and soothing and presence as some 4 examples. Empowered, if you want to practice a more powerful state, right? And feel into what those states feel like in your body. How do you breathe when you're empowered? How do you hold your body? What are the thoughts that you have? This is when you become your future self, when you behave as if you are your highest self. And it's entirely possible to do. If this interests you, if you're curious about how to do this, this is exactly what I'm going to teach you to do inside of my 8-week Transforming Trauma program. I'm giving you the step-by-step how-to formula that I have followed to cultivate a better feeling life, and that I have helped hundreds of people use in the last several years of guiding people on their journey to heal. I want to offer an invitation to you to take a look at the Transforming Trauma page. We begin on April 15th. You have until April 14th at midnight to decide and to sign up for the small group, highly guided microdosing plus somatic experience, where I'm giving you practical tools for doing exactly what I've just outlined here. I want you to know that now, on the other side of this life where I suppressed my emotions and I was told that I was too sensitive as a child, and I developed an autoimmune disease and a whole set of dysfunctional ways that I tried to manage my emotions and punish myself and others for the fact that I had feelings, right here at 45, I am thriving. I am alive. I still have lots of feelings, and I move through them as I move through the day. I work on not punishing my husband and my kids because they're the ones in my proximity proximity when I'm having feelings, right? I take responsibility for the energy that I'm bringing into a space, and I practice. I use my breath, I use my body, I work with my thoughts, and I change my story every single day. So there is hope. It is possible, and I want to invite you to join me inside of Transforming Trauma to do this very same thing.